Welcome to the Focus Podcast, number 25. Still here. Still alive. What's up? Going on? Focus Podcast inside again. My windows are closed just for AkustiK, standard. It's hot in here though. All of a sudden it's like summer weather and I'm in like yacht attire, but I don't feel rich at all. So it looks like we're coming out of some sort of lockdown in Ontario soon. A slow crawl, you'd say. So what does that mean for live music? What does that mean for, performances? Who knows? We're going to see that in the future. But I'm going to keep going on here with my podcast and bringing in local independent artists, just picking their brains, seeing what they're doing, what they've done over this lockdown, and I don't know what their vision is going forward into doing live performances and stuff like that. And I've been getting a whole bunch of different answers from different artists and really cool ideas. And myself am going to be moving forward with a live music showcase that I'm going to be doing on Facebook starting July 3rd. And I'm going to be doing it right here from my backyard. We're going to have a 3 artist performance night, and it's going to be a ticketed show. So it's kind of like a guinea pig thing. And if it goes off well, then we're going to be going to other locations and featuring other artists. So the podcast here is basically the base of that connection and that kind of like, road connection that you would get traveling across Canada. So my intention with this is, to keep that connection alive and people's input and insight into what they see moving forward live music looks like to them. Today's a weird day. Today's a different day. I just seem like a little disoriented, I guess. I'm happy. I'm super excited. Stoked that things seem to be moving forward. I just kind of in this like little lull last week. I don't know. Maybe it's the weather change or, the drastic coming out of a lockdown for so long. And I don't know. It's going to be different trying to go play, do shows and perform for people live. And I don't know how I'm going to take it. I think I'm going to be ready for it. At least I think I am. And, we're going to experiment regardless of what the outcome of the venues become in the near future. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a series in my backyard with 2 other artists, E.M. Lord and Evan Pang. You know him now as Ace and Abby. And the 3 of us are going to do a bill one night and perform in the backyard, a multi-camera shoot. And it'll be, high-end performance quality. And we're providing, like a ticketed showcase for viewers at home that are still kind of, apprehensive of what is happening. And I don't know what's going to happen with venues, like I said. So, I don't know. It's a weird time. It's a happy time. It's an exciting time, but at the same time, I think we have to use caution and like also, give the things a chance to just kind of ease into, back into how things were, I guess, Um, I don't know. I guess live music venues could at least start bringing a couple of people in at a time and see how it goes. And even with this, the good thing about the good weather is that a lot of venues can, adapt already. They have space, back parking lot. They don't have to try and go to at least half capacity yet. So, I know the Painted Lady that I was doing live shows at can probably adapt with the weather because they have a front patio for a couple people to sit, and you can put monitors out there for people to listen to the live performances, and probably a limited amount of people inside the venue. And then they have a back patio where people can go as well. But I think, um, maybe to give the venues a good head start and us artists a good start, onto getting music out there is teaming up with some venues for doing some local broadcasts. And before the shutdown, like in mid-December, me and a few other television crew professionals, we put together a series at the Painted Lady, a live performances, and we managed to put together one for myself. Lord, like I spoke of, he's gonna join me in a new series moving forward. We did a whole performance featuring him, and we did Rebecca, who is a bartender at the Painted Lady, and she has a band called Vex and the Disappointment. We featured her and her guitar player for an evening, a great, fantastic show. And this next guest joining me right now soon is AkustiK 7. We managed to do a performance for him in December, and that was the last one basically before we had to lock down again. So Nikki at the Painted Lady and when the staff, whenever they're ready to go, I'm ready to go with other musicians and live television crew, provided on these platforms. I'm going to bring to you a full musical live performances, professional multi-camera shoots, starting from my backyard, July 3rd. And then moving forward, maybe venues, and then venues outside of Toronto. And so look forward to that, July moving forward, on these programs at AM Grinding, especially on the Facebook one. It's going to be featured for ticketed invites, and maybe we'll have replays on these other channels, and like a purchase or a donation thing or something. We'll figure something out. And then whenever the music venues are ready to go, I'll be ready to. We'll be able to do some live performances there from the venue. So look out for that from myself and the AM Branding crew moving forward into the future. This is the first show I've had an alcoholic beverage and a cold beverage. Usually it's a coffee I'm drinking to keep myself awake. And also because it's been so fucking cold. And then all of a sudden, bam, it's like middle of July weather, right before 2-4 weekend. And this is kind of a weird transition, It's like I was kind of looking forward to a little bit of spring, but that's okay. Jump right into July, but it's so good. Not complaining. It's the good weather is here, and it's been a long grind. Really, it's been a long, tough winter, and I feel like I did some good off-season training and went through some, ups and downs. And I feel like I'm ready for some live performances and stuff like that. So every week I've just been kind of picking the brain of each artist and seeing what their ideas are and where they're at with where they think the live performance is going. So I'm going to bring in my guest tonight, AkustiK, and let's see. Hey, brother.
What's going on?
I'm trying to get this split screen to work, and sometimes it works, and sometimes
Sometimes she works, sometimes she don't.
sometimes she goes, and sometimes she doesn't.
That's
Sometimes
it.
I gotta refresh it sometimes.
Are we hearing me okay?
And
Yeah, I can't see you. I can only see me.
there's that. Yeah, 1 second.
Not that I'm complaining. I mean, really.
No, everybody wants to see the guests, right? That's what it's about. And so we got show. All right, let me try this again. This is the intentional, but
There you go.
there we go, bud. See?
Now you're split. I'm on the other side now. That's good.
There, the guest is always first, man. I guess that's the way you look at it, How's it going, dude?
Hey, man. It's going okay. It's going okay. Sun's still out. So.
That's great. You got a good comfy spot there. It looks nice and cozy.
Yeah, it's pretty cozy. It's I've been lucky enough to be out in the woods for a few weeks here, just kind of working from home, so to speak, playing lots of music in the forest. So yeah, it's a good time.
So I was just saying, like, the weather. I know it's lame, but the weather has changed. I don't remember too many 2-4s this hot. Like maybe once in a while, but
Yeah.
this is a good one. This is.
Oh, I can remember camping in the snow in Algonquin on 2-4 for sure.
Oh yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a monsoon or an earthquake, or it's like all across the scales in 2-4. I remember like in high school, like this was the be all end all weekend. Like this was the weekend that you chalked down from like September. As soon as you got to school, you're like 2-4. This is it. We're working up to this weekend, and it's. But I got a little taste of doing shows in out of the city in the summer, and it was so much more enjoyable than doing shows in a city, you know what I mean, in the summer.
Yeah,
because I feel like you're getting crowds that want to like really see something different, or that aren't there all the time. You're used to that kind of. Do you do more gigs in the city in the summer, or are you out in the smaller towns? Usually, not these past 2 summers, but we've done nothing these last 2 summers.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I was kind of just sort of getting back into it when COVID hit, so I was still kind of hopping around the open mic scene. Years ago, I was playing a lot all across the city. Bars here and there. A lot of places that aren't around anymore, actually.
Yeah.
And we were, at the time, I had a band going. I was kind of a buddy of mine, a partner of mine, and we still do stuff together. We had a band going, and we were sort of at that kind of pivot point of starting to go and tour outside of the city, and we sort of like folded it up before getting to that point.
Yeah. How many? The 2 of you? Is a duo?
Well, no, we were a 4-piece band, but it was
Okay.
kind of anchored around the 2 of us as kind of songwriters and guitar players.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and it was wicked fun. We were playing sort of every week or two across the city of Toronto for a while, and it was a great way to spend your time, for sure. But yeah, recently, I mean, I've had the opportunity to do some fun stuff during COVID, in terms of kind of filming videos and things like that. But starting to get creative about trying to create some gigs and some venues to sort of get stuff out there. So it was a bit of a heartbreaker, I'm not going to lie, when everything shut down last March, because I was kind of gearing up to start, shopping my shit around to various venues and making things happen and getting out of the city. So one of the benefits of having this little pied à terre out here in the woods is I've got this out of town kind of environment to create something, right? So maybe there aren't gigs up here yet, but we can create an experience for the people up here and for the people at home around, some of the paradise I get to enjoy on my free time,
Yeah, I know exactly. And I think that like the mindset of that is going to change now with, doing your own streaming and stuff like that and providing just quality music to the viewer, and you can have that urge to go to the city and see a gig with the same urgency of seeing you like live up in Muskoka or something or whatever. And I think that will be more appealing to people because it's almost like, say if you're in the city and you're watching it, you'd kind of want to be there, you'd
Sure.
kind of want to be up north and watching a live show. And like, I don't know if you've been, like, I've seen a few shows in the Muskoka area, and I've been to Kitabala and a couple places like that, and it's like I'd rather be there in the summer than a sweaty place in the city, honestly. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Like,
I mean, a lot of stuff happens outside in those places, right?
oh, I got a crazy story outside of Kitabala, but it's fucking. Anyway, that's another story. It involves Brian Orser, the figure skater. It's quite a story.
Oh, that sounds like a story and a half for sure.
There's some words in it that I don't think I'll be using on air, but it's like a downtime story.
Yeah.
So when I see you, remind me of that. We're setting up for a gig one day. I'll tell you the Brian Orser Muskoka story.
Yeah, I'll hold you to it for sure.
But anyways, like when this is what's cool about all of this stuff is that you and I met before in person,
Yeah.
like through this medium, and you and I were talking before we were doing our test and saying like how important kind of it is to do stuff like this through the pandemic and to kind of like give each other a reminder of like the high quality of it that we have to bring. So
Yeah.
when things do come back, like we're kind of ready. You kind of got to train off season like, an athlete,
Sure.
same as a musician. So we were talking about how Nelson has held up this, the open mic throughout the pandemic and kind of led the way doing it. And you and I met like watching each other
Yeah.
play on this platform, and then we got to see each other, meet each other, and see each other play live at the Painted Lady. And I think this is such an integral piece like this and those open mics and those interactive things to be evolved with live shows moving forward, and then
Well, for sure. And I think there's a whole there's like a community of people operating there. I mean, that's not the only one. Obviously, there's open mics all over the place, but there's a lot of people there that are really, I think, have over the last year, really gotten a lot out of that sort of outlet for themselves, maybe, and I've noticed too, like you see unfamiliar names pop up in the people joining the live things, and there is a little bit of an appetite, I think, for sort of authentically performed creative pursuits, right? I mean, there's definitely an audience for it, and I think the important thing from my perspective is whatever the medium is that's at your disposal. I mean, if you're a creator, you have to you got to get your stuff out there somehow, right? So, I was gearing up to have, a gig every couple of months if I was lucky, and try to shop my stuff around, but it wasn't happening yet, and we all shut down, and so that just shifted my approach to just trying to just do stuff to keep your chops up, and find ways to share what you're doing when it's appropriate to share, and try to work towards releasing something. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I don't know why. We'll stop that. Are you still there?
Yeah, no, I just hear a bang. I just kind of like, I got close neighbors, and there's always drama.
Right on. Yeah, no, I mean, and anyway, I think, like, things like the open mic, and things like, these folks who are making a point of kind of performing weekly or releasing material on a regular basis. I mean, that stuff's to be admired, and I think it's kind of like, it's what you got to do. You got nothing else. You can't go out and play at a bar because there's no bar to play at. You can't go on tour because there's no cities that'll let you in right now. So, that doesn't stop people from wanting to sing loud, right? And I think it's great that people have things going on like this show you got going here, and we were talking about Estella music before, and all these opportunities to kind of market our material. You got to hope that, fingers crossed, when they let us out, it's going to mean there's maybe an elevated interest in what's out there when people start going out to the pubs again, so it's maybe that brings more people out for live music because they've been hungry for it. And you see it. I mean, it's not just the creators who are saying it. You see it all over Facebook, people posting about how they wish they could go and see a live band,
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like always been there, and I think now there's a stronger appreciation for it because, and I've elaborated on this before, I feel like that's the missing piece of people feeling good, arts and culture and music and intertwined in their lives, you know what I mean? So it's like, ask almost anybody who goes and does their day-to-day stuff to work and to back. It's like, how many people listen to music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing everything, working out, just cleaning, everything. So if that's all gone, that's part of your emotional language, as a human. And so, and I feel that was kind of missing, and people have always wanted music and to support music and all that. They just don't know where to look all the time. I think it's just like a lot of too much going on, and it's tough for artists like us who are, you're trying to juggle so many platforms, and you're trying to also provide a periscope to the viewers to be like, hey, here's all my stuff. But I think it's going to be easier to do that now because you'll set up communities where they'll have platforms, and you can directly get to people now who actually just want to listen to your music, who are interested in purchasing music. And also, I think there's a real personal opportunity here, which is cool. Say if you get a few hundred fans that really are in your niche, that really like you, you can do so many exclusive things for them. You know, you
Mhm.
can do
Mhm.
like a home Saturday show, you know, just for these like
Yeah.
loyal viewers. And I think there's more.
Subscribers only kind of
Yeah,
deal.
I think there's more to it than that, than like trying to throw it all against the wall. You know what I mean? Like the old radio adage of like paying um, ad agencies to do ads,
Mhm.
to pay people to put those ads out, and maybe 10% of the people hear it, and then 10% of those 10% like are actually interested into it. Now
Mhm.
there's so many ways of like just having your own following and just kind of like catering to that, to what they want, you know, and
Mhm.
almost like your style, like you're almost kind of just doing your style, and those people that really appreciate that are following around you. And
Sure.
I think it's great, and it's also a way for the, you know how they say you have to brand yourself as an artist and all that, and
Mhm.
corner yourself like that. I think this is a different viewpoint of that, you know, and almost like in a positive thing, where it's just like this is this style, and then so he has these type of live shows, and or she does this over there, and she's like you know, she has a talk show every week. So there's so many opportunities for everybody to just, because musicians are so multi-talented, it's an
Mhm.
opportunity for the musician to tie themselves to something other, you know.
For sure.
um but so I want to say that, and I know you have some stuff going on too, so explain
Mhm.
to the viewers like what you've been doing through this pandemic, and like what your approach is after coming out of this. And I know it's going to be like a tippy toe thing,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
there's plenty of opportunity to do some things, right?
No, for sure. And I mean, obviously, I'm doing a lot of writing and trying to wrap my head around the recording process, which is something that's kind of new to me. Um, but there's a couple of shows that are kind of sprung out of people just making stuff work in a pandemic coming up. One is it's a festival called the Open Tuning Festival, which is a music festival in the Annex that used to be performed from people's front porches all through the neighborhood. So you'd walk around the neighborhood and you'd see people playing on their front porch. And last summer, of course, they couldn't do it as a public event, so they did it online, and they're repeating it this year with they took some learnings from last year around how they marketed and everything, and so this year they're going about it again, and they've got some great. They've got a great approach to some sort of advanced little face or Instagram teaser posts they're putting out about it. And, the onus is on all the artists to sort of host the stream and everything on their own channels. But that's the great thing, because really, at the end of the day, you're trying to drive subscribers, I guess, if you're trying to broaden your audience, right? So,
Hmm.
but yeah, that was a festival that I was part of last year. I was lucky enough to do it from up here and doing it this year. And there was a point, I'm not even sure that they were necessarily sure they were going to repeat it. And I was so glad that they did, because it does give a broad spectrum of artists an opportunity to affiliate themselves with a real online event. So yes, it's a music festival. It's just people aren't strolling from house to house or spot to spot. They're cruising various people's Instagram or YouTube channels and checking stuff out from their living room. So that's going to be kind of a cool thing coming up in June. It's on June 5th, but that'll be, the website and the usual handles are all going to have all the details around that. And something I'm working on also up here, or I should say a part of, with this fellow that I used to have a band with way back, actually. We have a 100-year-old barn up here that we're putting a live online broadcast on from, with
Cool.
handful of with a handful of decent acts. paid event like what you were talking about before, most likely. That's coming up in August. And that's kind of that's another sort of exercise in trying to do things a little bit differently. So we're putting something together that would ordinarily just be a live show out in the woods in the country somewhere. It'd be great kind of music festival kind of vibe. But you can't do that. You gotta beam that to people's phones and TVs. So that's something that's kind of it was sort of a back of an envelope idea maybe 2 months ago, and it's materialized just in the last few weeks into something that's definitely happening with some blessing from the people at the property and stuff. So it'll be an interesting exercise in creating an event online that people want to sort of seek out and be a part of. And I think it's been a year for a lot of people and a lot of actually organizations too, of figuring out how to create engagement on a lot of those events, right? Because you could put something on live and maybe 7 people show up, but I mean, I was fortunate enough in January to be a part of a charity performance, another sort of, it was all done over Zoom. So it was like maybe 50, I think the max you can have is 50 people on Zoom.
Yeah.
But the organizers of the event were so impressed because they doubled their charity donation target. Nice. And like everybody that was on there went out and they did the legwork and they bought the thing. You know what I mean? They went out and they did it, even though you didn't have to leave your house.
Yeah.
And that was a signal to me, sort of mid-pandemic, that, there's still a way to do things out there. And, the worst thing you can do is not try to use the tools at your disposal, If you got something, you want to share it with people, you got to figure out how to do that one way or the other.
Yeah, well, these are tools, you know what I mean? It's as much as a tool as like live streaming right now is as much as a tool as having a camera a few years ago, as much as a tool as having a mixer or a computer to make music with. It's just another, and I think what boils down to all of it and all of the technology that drives us, it's just connection. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to connecting. And how can we do it in the most heartfelt way. And I think music is the best language now. Like music is the language of all communication, right? And I think now, before it was a joke to kind of like broadcast something online and it's like it's like you're not gonna get, oh yeah, I'd rather go see it live. But now, holy shit, man, you can really put like a good fucking show together, put your headphones on, and you're there, bro. Like it's fucking, and you're chilling, man. Like I wouldn't mind that, man. Just like say if you had an apartment condo downtown, you can't get to somewhere and we're still in a pandemic, you put on a pair of headphones, you fucking zone out and then you listen to live music, right? It's like it's just, I think part of this transition is also like a realization of where venues were going with music, and to me, I was blessed to like tour Canada the last couple of years before the whole shutdown, and I had like a huge momentum swing before going shutting down and everything. And what I noticed, and it's like even without the pandemic and all the shutdown, the bars needed a transition. Like there needed to be some sort of transition where the musicians again are the centerpiece, and it's like that's what's pushed, um and I think there's gonna, like, you said before, there's gonna be appreciation for that more moving forward, and this online medium will back that up. um
Yeah, I mean, I think
with
it's
other
just
ways.
another way people get their
Uh-huh.
content, right? On one hand, it's kind of, it's depressing to think about somebody consuming really quality songwriting from their phone, sitting on
Yeah.
the porch. But on the other hand, if that's the window that they get, that's what you got to work with, and so you work with it, right? And yeah, I think it's the stuff when they let us out, all the live shows will all be back. Everybody will be doing their thing. Like everything's gonna be gravy when everything's fine
Mm-hmm.
and dandy. It's just I think there's just a lot of people just trying to figure out how to make it work in the meantime. And I for one am in kind of I'm inspired by what I've seen from the way most people around me have been showing up anyway, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't even gotten into this. This is funny about where you are and where your place is. And it's a small town called Lefroy near
Yeah.
Simcoe, Lake Simcoe. And me as a little kid, I grew up right up the street there, and I had a cottage there that my grandfather built.
Yeah.
And I swam in that pier all my childhood.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we were like when we first met at the Painted Lady,
Yeah.
we started talking. I think we got into this kind of conversation of what we've been talking about right now is
Mhm.
like playing, in places, and you're like, oh, I got this 100-year-old barn at this place, and you're like, it's in Lefroy, and I'm like, what? Shut the fuck up. And then I was like, really? And yeah, I had a cottage there up. I guess when you go up the main road, like we talked about that little um, convenience store there.
Yeah.
There was a little convenience store. So
So
down the
true.
road there, yeah, my grandfather got a piece of property there, I think probably in the 60s. And he built something. And then my dad, in the mid 80s, got all his friends up and they built a foundation up. And yeah, we spent most of our childhood up there and till I was about 13, 14 years old. And
Right
it was
on.
amazing. It was awesome. It was my mom was actually over a couple of days, and she's like, my mom has tons of photos. So she's got photos of us there in that area swimming.
Oh, cool.
And yeah. So you've been up there most of the time, or because you live in the city, right? In
I live in
Toronto,
the
but you go
city.
back
Yeah,
and forth.
I've been up here the last sort of 6 weeks or so because it's before the season where we really start using it. There's all sorts of chores and stuff, and we figured we got um,
So
pandemic
it's a
situation. Everybody's
cottage.
stuck at
It's
home.
a
It's a cottage, but it's a heat like the house that I'm in is my great great grandfather's summer home from like 100 years ago.
wow. That's
It's
insane.
he was, I guess, I mean this is generations ago, but it's a big huge house on the lake with like the living room is 2 stories. It's
I can hear it. It's
yeah.
it's
So it's hard. It's weird to think of it as your cottage because I mean I grew up coming to a cottage a few doors down the road that's literally like a little wooden shack
yeah.
next to the lake, and so this is it's more of a house I guess than a cottage. But I partnered a couple of years ago with my sisters and a couple of our cousins. To sort of take over the big dog's house, so to speak.
Yeah.
And as a result, we've got this very kind of picturesque kind of place to be. And if you're a music guy, it
It's
sounds
amazing.
amazing in every room you walk into because it's all made of wood and stuff. And yeah, so I just took the opportunity to we had some plumbing and stuff like that to fix, so I just stationed myself up here for a few weeks to camp out. And it's nice. It's like I had the living room kind of set up like a rock star's sort of recording weekend kind of, you know.
Yeah, like
Fun. It's an opportunity to kind of play
don't
around.
bother me for a month. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
It all comes to an end for a little while in a few days.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll be back up here in the summer again for a few weeks, and I've been making a lot of use of the barn. Actually, while I was here, we had a drum kit set up there for a week or two, and right now, actually, I left a Strat and an amp plugged in the barn and with a little sign saying, there's I got cousins and stuff in the area, and I just put a sign up with my phone number saying, I'll move it if you want me to, but why don't you sit down and play it? And I'm really hoping that when I'm walking through the woods one day, I can hear some. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
waiting. I've planted the seed with one kid's mom. Like, tell your son there's a Stratocaster in the barn.
Holy shit. Imagine if you're some kid. I want to hear some story like 20, 30 years from now. Some ridiculous guitar player. And he's just like, I was just walking through the woods one day. And I just saw this fucking
I
guitar
just saw
sitting
the
there.
Stratocaster.
And
It started
it
playing.
summoned me. I don't know. I had this weird tingly feeling in my body. And all of a sudden I'm playing at the Super Bowl. Like, no, that's amazing. Like to plant those seeds, man. It's such a good thing. And
Well, I mean, I want people
to
to
be
kind
up
of
there.
discover that stuff.
Yeah.
Find the joy, so to speak, right? I mean, when I was very young, I was lent a guitar that I didn't deserve, and it inspired me as a very young guy, right? And so I just thought, hey, like there's this weird. Everyone around here loves the environment so much that I just thought, adding a little musical touch or opportunity for folks might be fun, and
That's
it
amazing.
helps plant some goodwill for when I put a rock show on at the end of the summer.
Just put some flyers around, like anonymous flyers with guitar picks everywhere. Just like, hey, here to play. Just here to play.
Exactly.
Man, I'm so inspired by like nature, and like it just solidifies my work ethic for writing. You know what I mean? Like I always get my ideas out, I always get my first drafts out, but it's like being out and kind of just on my own, no distractions. That's where the ideas really put itself together, I went out to Dunville a summer and a half ago on my own, and just stripped everything away, had a few ideas for some songs, and then I made up most of my. We lost AkustiK, but have no fear, he's back.
There he is.
It's just a moment we lost you. That's good. No, I had all these song ideas, and I just had no distractions. I had no work, I had nothing to do. And then this song, The Papers, came out. I came home one day, I was just painting with my uncle, and I just fucking wrote this song out and just hammered it out. And very few little corrections and tweaks. It's just like immersing myself in that environment outside and forgetting about the structure of business that I'm accustomed to in the city. I just removing myself from that, and I think that's where it's easier for me to complete songs and to get them into a real catapulted idea to say this is the one I'm going to put into the studio and finish off, because I have a whole bunch of songs written. Like I literally wrote about 150 songs since the lockdown. I just been on a ridiculous writing spree. There was a few months I just went insane with like 2 songs a day, and then there's been a little bit of drought where it's like a month that's not. But I know a lot of them aren't gonna make it to where I want it to be a full complete song. But I need that I need that month or so just to remove myself to take all of that with me, take all
Yeah.
my beats with me, take my computer with me, and then just like, and then when I get back, there's an album done. That's all. That's my formula, and that's
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
been the base with this one. I went to Italy, and then I came back with 90% of the album the way I had it figured out, right? So there's something about that, I like what you said, you turn yourself into the rock star environment, there's something about that like music is the communication with amongst us humans, but our communication almost to ourselves and interpreting what we're thinking is through nature. I think it's like through nature helps us facilitate that, at least in my mind, and kind of like bring all those chaotic thoughts together into uh, something I can present later. Um,
I think it's good to, if you get that from being around nature, that's a good thing to know about yourself, right? I couldn't tell you where my sort of comfort zone is for writing, or like, what makes it work and what doesn't for me. But
yeah,
the proximity to nature is like, I've been blessed all my life to be able to spend time in the woods next to the lake. And there is something very kind of soul feeding about that. I've been up here while the spring has, like, winter turned to spring right in front of my eyes, because you're on the water. Everything is so immediate.
yeah,
It
yeah,
rained, the lake was frozen, and then there was one day where it rained for hours, and then all the ice was gone, and it was spring, just like that, like right in front of your face.
yeah.
And so, like, things like that's very kind of inspiring and calming in a lot of ways. For me, puts me in a good space, I guess, creatively. But I can't say that I don't know. I wish I could say it was like, oh, this is the creative kind of source for me, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think I'm still a little too sloppy to have found where my comfort zone is in that regard.
Oh yeah, me too, for
So
sure.
finding
Like
my feet in that sense, right? Like, some people have a very kind of structured idea around what works and
yeah,
what sort of headspace they need to be in to get ideas. And I
yeah,
find I'm still kind of just like having them come to me
I
when they
hear you.
come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was more like the nature is kind of like helps me juggle all those ideas that I already got out. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I've gotten in the good. And my buddy Roger, who gave me this microphone actually to lend, and he does all my instrumentals basically.
Oh
For
yeah.
he did for the last album. He's involved in most of the instrumentals. He's the musician, and I compile it, and I engineer it, and hire other musicians to. But he's like the core base of my sound that's kind of evolved. He's helped me
Hmm.
evolve into this new sound. But he's always like, let's get that lightning in a bottle, and he kind of taught me that that's the most important thing. He just like, I knew it was around me all the time, but I didn't understand how important it was, how like 80% of your ideas from that little tiny little inception of an idea that you need to get down right away. And it's like um the way him and I recorded, right? He's like, you dilly dally a bit, and he's just like, I've learned to be prepared and be prepared right away. And he comes in, we just sit down, we just fire out whatever's on our mind right away off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like trained me to move forward like that. And so now I'm working with this producer in the States, this young kid, and he was just firing beats out to me. And so I wouldn't listen to them until I'm ready. I would open it up and then right right away hearing it the first time.
Mm.
So I found like I'm encapsulating so much more raw ideas that I'm getting, and instead of kind of like coming with an idea and beating it up and like taking a while for it to formulate. Now I'm locked in more into those, like grabbing those moments
Yeah.
and then just chilling on them for a bit, refining them, and then wait till I'm ready to record and do it. So yeah, I'm trying to put myself in that situation soon where I can um give myself a couple of weeks to really work on the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Because with doing a whole album and especially a rapper, it's like, and especially if you're involved in all your own production, it's like by the time you get to do your vocals, you're almost like exhausted.
Yeah.
So you need like this break
Yeah.
and like this refresh of like um to do your vocals. You need like some juice to go into it, and it's been tough this last pandemic because there's really been nothing to go off on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough the last album that I had a bunch of shows that I could really push some of the songs before they were completed and get kind of a good vibe from people of how they were going to go and how I
Yeah.
should complete them. But now this one's a little different because it's like, yeah, there's nothing to bounce it off. So it's nice to have something like this. And like I said, I have a show on Sundays where I've incorporated other rappers and stuff like that. So we're just throwing freestyle out there more, and I'm trying to like strip everything away now and just be more vulnerable with that. And so when I'm doing the open mics, once in a while when I jump on for Parkdale or the Painted Lady one, I'm just trying to do freestyle,
Mm-hmm.
not concerned of like it being tight, just what
Mm-hmm.
getting what out and being just going through the process of it, you know what I mean? So I'm like you said, it's not a waste of time to perform in front of your lens. It's like you're working it out. You're in the off season, you're training what you can as a musician to just keep sharp and ready to go when you are presented with some opportunities eventually to do some live shows, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
that's what a lot of people use the open mic kind of scene, even when you can go to live shows for, is to kind of hash out their stuff. And, like when you're writing a song, you're gonna write it 6 or 7 times before you're prepared to show it to anybody anyway.
mhm.
And let you, or well, I shouldn't say you. I'm lucky. I've felt lucky in terms of having songs just kind of show up. Something comes to you and it works, and that's just the way it's going to be. But then there's stuff that I wrote 2 years ago that I'm still trying to decide if it needs a bridge or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think that like those kind of weekly open mics are a great place for people to hash that out. I think, it's unfortunate that it's all on a screen these days. I think that's pretty tiring for people, but,
Yeah.
um, you can't lose that spirit. You gotta just do it. And, some folks might approach that kind of environment as a place to really kind of like have your shit down and be on point and do everything. And then other folks treat that as a space where they have some license to just try something and see if it works,
Like a
and they
new open
something
mic,
and they
basically.
yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea of an open mic, is
Mhm.
just allowing people to share their kind of creation. And yeah, it takes a lot of stones to do that. And to in that form too, to do something, like you're freestyling and you're already having to do it on a screen, so you don't have that. You can't see the guy 7 feet away from you.
Can't
And
gauge. You
wow, I
can't.
can't believe
Yeah.
he's doing that off the top of his head.
Mhm.
That's yeah, good for you for doing that. That's it's always worth kind of taking the shot, I think,
Yeah, it's really because a lot of that is it's all in your own head, right? And it's
Oh,
like,
sure.
so it's like if you can overcome that, what's coming out of your mouth in your own head, then that's the freestyle. Like that's what you want. And then, like you said, it's tough, but I feel like it's becoming more of a sense of community where it's like people are reciprocating to it and they're like understanding that you are putting yourself out there,
Hmm.
and they're having more appreciation for it because, they're in the same boat as a musician, right? They're just trying to work stuff out themselves and understand what we're going through together.
Hmm.
You know, I'm excited. I want to do a live show soon. It's fun, and the thing I miss the most is like randomly showing up and just jumping on with a band, and it's like
Yeah.
I really got sharp over like my late 30s doing that, like dropping in at Grossman's and dropping in at
Mhm.
Painted Lady, and those were the two places that I really wet my chops. And a lot of it too was like a lot of training on the fly too. It's like you learn to like pick yourself up, and then if you're not ready, you fall fast, and you're the
Yeah.
only one who really criticizes yourself. But like those are the places that I was able to check myself, and I was like, maybe I should work on this a little more, and maybe I shouldn't drink as many beers before I go on. There's things that you want to like refine because you're really passionate about this, and at the end of the day, it's like something that is defines your work ethic too, and defines you of like persevering through things too. So
Sure.
that's what I loved about open mics, and to go back in September, and like I was saying to EM, to get that rush again of like going home with that high of like, oh yeah, I went out there. I waited 4 hours. It wasn't as long this time because it was small, but like sometimes, some
Mhm.
nights you wait 3 4 hours to play two
Sure.
songs, and
Sure.
you come home with that one little high. Like it's a big high, and
Hmm.
it's like all worth it for all that. So it's like I think that's what hopefully the payoff for all of this is, for all this like us dealing with this shit for a year and a half and inside. I think it's going to be a hopefully a better payoff for local or independent musicians moving forward. And like you said, a stronger, more appreciation, and people are really into community too. So it starts with their um, food and what they eat and what they consume, and then it's also going to be their arts and culture. It's like they're going to really appreciate local more,
Yeah.
um, and understand that support because it's really supporting them too. It's supporting a whole community. So I really appreciate you hanging out, and
Hey,
this
man.
is fun. This is great stuff, man. And
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. This is good.
yes. Yeah, so what do you got? You said you got some things going on here coming up June,
Yeah.
you
June
said.
5th, 8 p.m. June 5th. I'll be on the Acoustic 7 Music YouTube channel. So I can see you got acoustic7.ca on your screen there. So that'll tell everybody where to go. I'll probably be on Instagram Live at the same time, like YouTube and Instagram, just to, I think the Instagram following's a little bigger than YouTube. So, and that's like I'll be one of, dozens of artists across the spectrum, genre wise, doing stuff online that day. So that'll be kind of a cool afternoon and evening on the old 4-inch screen, I think. And then August 14th, you know, kind of COVID permitting, we're doing this barn performance. So it's early days around planning it and pulling it together, but stay tuned for some details on that for sure. But yeah, those are two of the nearest future pieces. And aside from that, I'm just trying to, tell myself I'm in the lab recording stuff, which we'll get to at some point, right?
Yeah, well, it's a great lab and a great spot, and that's something really cool to look forward to. Like something like a really. It's almost like I'm setting up this thing in my backyard, and I have this feeling like it's my first gig. Like I'm getting this feeling again, like I got when I was like 19 or 20, of like really getting excited about this as my first gig. So it's like in a different way, I guess, in a different thought process. And also, I think in a different way of like trying to hype it up a little more too before. And I know I've had a lot of good, loyal supporters over the years. So I think something like this to give them a heads up on it would be cool, and be like, hey, here's a appreciation. And yeah, and I think there's some you can really, the people who have stuck with you for a while, there's a good incentive to give some cool extra loyalty stuff, like you're saying. And we were talking earlier before about like merch stuff. You were
Yeah.
you want to touch on that, or you want to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's I'm gonna. The timelines are still a little bit fluid, but I have a kind of a merch program called the Little Indie Gift Box. There are different iterations. They're not all gift boxes, but it's a curated box of independent local musicians, merchandise, and/or music. And I market it online. I sort of create a series of them depending on how many artists are involved. I do all the legwork around picking up the merch and putting the boxes together and delivering it. And the idea is putting an offering out there for folks who might be inclined to do something like buy a band T-shirt or somebody's EP in hard copy or something like that. But just to make it easy and to make it kind of a material outlay for the audience, and to sort of broaden the reach of kind of independent artists who maybe, you got to buy 100 shirts to sell 3, right? So
Yeah.
I can think of half a dozen people off the top of my head who've got a basement full of trucker hats and T-shirts that'd be dying to move them. And yeah, so I've got a little bit of a series pulled together that I'm going to start sort of reaching out to folks to see if they kind of want to participate in it. But the idea is, instead of selling 3 or 4 shirts at a show, you sell 50 because I'm out there hustling it every couple of days on Instagram or what have you, and getting orders. And maybe it's 25 or 50, maybe it's 10 the first one, who knows? But it's another opportunity to do something creative. There's a little bit of skin in the game because I can't do it for free. I have to pay for the boxes.
Oh, for sure, you're doing it all.
But it's I think it's something that's going to be fun and for anyone who wants to do it, and it's something that we can start to tie into actual events and
I was just gonna say
shows and festivals as well. So there's going to be a tie-in with this barn show if we can make it work. So it's that's also I would say it's early days, but it's kind of ready to pull the trigger as soon as I've got folks lined up. I just have it on my to-do list to do that. So I've got a website set up and everything for it that I'm going to start. I will start through AkustiK 7, sort of drawing people to it as a kind of a community outreach thing at first to see who's up, who's in. If you got merch and you got some gumption, let's make some moves. And
Focus hats.
There you go. Good opportunity to move some stuff, and I think it's also just an opportunity to get people connected and to connect some communities too. So part of it is slightly longer term. I want to establish a couple of relationships with some independent retailers as well.
That's
who
great.
Just might be inclined to put 2 or 3 in their window, kind of thing, just to because how great would it be if three Toronto artists could show up at a store in Hamilton, or
For
3
sure.
Barrie artists could show up at a store in Little Italy in Toronto, or something like that. So it's I'm probably saying more about it than I should at this stage. But that's another sort of side hustle I'm kind of doing in the back of my mind when I'm not noodling around on the guitar, I guess. But sometime the aim was to get one over the spring. Didn't quite make it happen because I got 2 out of 3 artists for the first box. But something tells me this August show will be a bit of a kickoff. So stay tuned, I guess, for more details around that as well. But that's me letting you in on a slightly longer term plan. But I think it also, in this kind of online environment where everyone's having to market, hey, check out my online show on Zoom kind of thing. It's it really is an opportunity to sort of reach people without necessarily, you're not the one saying, hey, I got merch, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
have
exactly.
Obviously you'd be telling people you're in this cool box with so and so and so and so, and you should buy it. But it kind of takes that kind of hey, listen to my demo kind of
It gives it more validity,
anxiety
right?
out of it.
Yeah.
And I just think it's fun. It'd be kind of cool to see if that kind of stuff has legs, right? You can't sell your music anymore. It sucks. You got to pay the bills somehow. You got to record your album somehow. And I just I have this kind of I got a little hustle in me. I think we could have some fun moving some merch. It's really what it boils down to.
Well, it's great, man, because it's a perfect opportunity with doing these ticketed shows too.
Yeah.
And it's different than playing at the Horseshoe, doing your set, and then walking over to the merch table and be like, "Here I am, come buy my shit." And it's there's more of a professional look at this, where it's here's a different entity that's distributing the merchandise, and so people are like, oh wow, that's I do want to support, and it's being backed by somebody who's doing it, organizing it in a professional way that you're doing, and there's so much opportunity like this for the artists to get directly to their customers, and the customers want this. They don't want to necessarily buy something through another entity to buy your stuff. So with things like Shopify and stuff like that, and other platforms, and whatever platform you're using, there's opportunities for them to buy your merch directly. And there's tons of people, bands with boxes and boxes of shit. And I have a buddy who played drums on my album here, Brian Fontas. He had a band called Last Bullet. They're fucking phenomenal. Just they remind me of Stone Temple Pilots. They were really heavy, really good. And he had all this merch, and then he just set up a site like that recently, and he just moved it all. Like he
Mm.
just moved like 10 boxes of stuff in a couple of weeks, you know?
Wow.
And maybe that was from him laying down foundation with fans over the years. Like I know he has a good
Mhm.
following, and his band did well,
Mhm.
as much as well as a Canadian band can do. Um, but yeah, it's just like maybe a lot of people couldn't get to your shows, or you didn't,
Mhm.
you didn't have people didn't feel inclined to buy merch from you after they watched you perform or paid to get in, So now I think there's a direct correlation to supporting you now and giving, people have an authentic piece of history, that like, oh, I have this band's shirt, and then they blow up, or this guy or this artist, or it's like we were talking about. It's a more of a connection to community and a love for community, right?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, to support people like that. There's customers out there. They're waiting. They want to buy it. They want to support that local artist, and
Some people think it's really cool to know about a singer-songwriter from Brantford, Ontario, or something like
yeah,
that. I mean, like that's I listen to SoundCloud more often than probably iTunes, and I'm probably unique, but there are, yeah, there's plenty of folks out there, and it's not so much around like. Um, I don't know. You can sit and lament about how big an undertaking it is to try to release something and make a go of it or what have you, or you could just look at where the low hanging fruit is and pick it. you
there's a
know,
lot of it, bro. There's a whole lot of it,
I
man.
mean,
And
so
once,
it's
yeah,
if all you got is Instagram Live, perform on Instagram Live. If you got a
yeah, and
YouTube
now
channel,
there's
post shit on
like,
your YouTube channel. If you want to, like, the whole thing is just do it. And so
yeah,
they
just
like
do it.
the in
Make
the
something.
yeah, and this kind of merch idea, it came to me because I did it as a gift for somebody for Christmas. Actually, I pulled together a little thing, and I actually just told him. I said I call it the little indie gift box. And he was so impressed with it, and it just got me thinking. And then I told you about this charity thing that I was a part of, and that was around the same time, and that sort of put two and two together for me on it as well. And it just made me realize, like, it doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's only a dozen of these things that you move, but it's
You're not a factory. You're just
exactly
doing what
right.
you can. Yeah.
I'm not a record label. I'm not trying to, like, I'm not saying, hey, stick with me, kid, give me 12% and I'll get you what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, you got a stack of shirts, all right, I'll sell 50, give me 10 points. You know what I mean?
That's how you work. That's how you worked on commission, anyways, as an independent artist. If you like, that's how I used to do the hustle back in the day.
Yeah,
It's like you go to a CD store and you worked on consignment. You be
yeah,
like, here's your CDs, and
yeah.
then or your merch, and same thing. But it's just like you're moving it right away, and
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, that's gonna be great. I love that. And then the technology is getting so fast and so quick that like a show like this, I'm going to be able to have a button here that you're watching it on your phone. You're going to be able to hit the button, and that little button will take you to buy that shirt right away.
Oh,
And
right
it's
on.
to it's that close. It's really close. It's like even with Instagram, I think with Instagram Live, I just seen it come out, and I think you're gonna see it in the next couple months is people who sell stuff on Instagram. So
Oh,
when
you
you're on
shop
Instagram
right.
Live, there's a button right there on live that you can hit a button and sell your shit to. So it's gonna be that easy.
Yeah.
And if you have something a simple, weekly show, and you're performing good songs, and you don't necessarily even have to have music out anymore now. So if people are watching you and being entertained by your quality of talent, and you just have some other stuff and t-shirts or whatever you're selling, people
Yeah.
will buy it, and it's great to see it land directly in the artist's hands, and not only the artist's hands, but the people helping do stuff like this. Like you're not only building up your own brand, but you're building up and you're creating facility for other artists to do that, and it's a really cool idea. I like that, and I think it's going to take off. And I wish you all the best with that. That's really cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, hopefully it does. I have a few kind of conversations to have with folks still, I think, but the few people I've kind of talked to about it, like musician wise, just because the other thing, I don't want to, these are my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, like, and you start talking about, nobody's kind of comfortable around, I don't think, really trying to sell themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard.
And,
It's hard, especially when you do it on the stage already. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
so I want to approach it in very much like a, let's do this kind of way, as opposed to, because like I got no connections or anything. I can't help people. I haven't been like kicking around the music business for 30 years, and I'm not going to get you signed or anything like that.
yeah,
I just got some work ethic, and I'm creative, and I really like people who spend time writing music. So I want to kind of like do stuff around that. And yeah, I just think that there's it's just part of what it has inspired me through all this kind of pandemic stuff is people just picking up and making things happen.
yeah,
And that's
that's the
something
best.
that I think there's an appetite to make happen somehow. And it's easy enough to pull off that I think, if I do it once or twice, year one, maybe year two, it's 3 or 4 times. Year three, it becomes, a holiday thing or what have you, like, so it's another kind of spare time pursuit, really, right? Like, but I just think it's a way to get a little more out of it than just, hey, listen to my song.
Well, it's at the end of the day, you'd like to live comfortably off it, and it's totally attainable. And it's like I was speaking with Dame Alexander. He was a regular at the Painted Lady for a long time, and he's out in
Mm-hmm.
Guatemala, and he's making it work down there. Like he's doing gigs down there, and with platforms like this, he's able to make it work.
Hmm.
He's had, people he's met all over the world who are willing to tune into him at a tropical bar on like down
Yeah.
by the beach. And it's like, yeah, I'd buy a ticket for that too,
Huh.
And so there's different ways of looking at it. And, I thought about that because I've lived in Dominican Republic for a couple of months here and there. And
Yeah.
I thought, how cool would it be to, do a show live on the beach here? And
Yeah.
actually, there's a cool bar I been to in Dominican, and it's owned by Van Gogh's granddaughter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, so she's like 95, and she liked my music, and so
Yeah.
I almost got like, I think the bar's
Uh,
still there. I don't know if she's still around, but I always wanted to do a gig there. Like I performed some open mic there, but I wanted to have like a full live show like from there
yeah.
to do, like, it's cool. And I really can envision in like your barn to do like a full cool performance and like really encapsulate, like that feeling up there, of like that's every musician's dream, is just like to get a few people up, get up north and just chill and make music, and there's something very cool and soothing about that you can tune into from your couch, right?
Yeah.
So I wish you all the best with that, man.
Well,
And
thanks, man.
I hope we can get back to the Painted Lady soon and do some things and maybe some other venues. But if not, yeah, I'd like to see how these entities work together in the future. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of potential with the live stuff and what you're doing, like with merch and
Mhm.
that's really cool. So thanks for joining me, man.
Right
It's
on.
been a
Thanks for
blast.
having me, man.
And yeah, there's do we want to plug some stuff at the end here again? You were
Well,
talking about
I would just say follow AkustiK 7, subscribe to AkustiK 7 Music. Go to akustik7.ca, and you'll get all the plugs you need. Going that route. So anything we talked about here, eventually I'm going to throw up on the site anyway, and I'll probably start blasting out stuff. But check out Open Tuning June 5th for starters, I guess, for sure.
well, it's great, and I hope you're enjoying this weather.
I
And
am.
I'm gonna crack my windows soon. It's
Yeah,
getting
man.
sauna-ish in here.
Yeah. Let's get a little breeze going.
The lights are a little toasty. But yeah, thanks for chilling, and I appreciate it, man. And hopefully the next time we'll have some refreshments
For sure.
and chat. All right, man.
Right on,
Stay
man.
safe and keep grinding, brother.
You too, my man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Take it easy.
So that was our buddy AkustiK 7, and he's up in Lefroy chilling and doing his thing. And look out for his live performances. I think he said June 5th, and then there's another one August 14th. Really cool, laid back performer. And if you want to check out a live performance that we covered for him, was at the Painted Lady. We did it December 14th of 2020, and there's a whole performance on my YouTube channel here. If you check it out, it's under AkustiK 7, and it was a nice chill performance. Great coverage we did, and it was all around nice music to listen to. So check him out on his Instagram and check him out on his website. He's got great material and an amazing singer songwriter. I thank him a lot for joining me tonight. And I don't know, I'm just kind of like a little faded and overheated and kind of just like taking these shows a little shorter, and I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be sitting in this room doing the shows. I think I'm going to eventually move it to my back green room where it's a little cooler, and I'll get the Ethernet line sent out there, and so you might see a different background next week. Yeah, thanks for joining me tonight, and Sunday night 8 p.m. I'll be back on all these platforms with my buddy Paul. We're gonna do the Focus and Paul music show that is coming up on Sunday, and you can check out all my stuff on Instagram as well, and all my links are on amgrinding.ca. I'd like to thank my guest AkustiK 7 tonight, and thank you all for watching, and have a great night. Peace and stay focused.